Whipping up all of your favorite recipes. Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food. Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
What's up, you guys? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and today is a very important day because I'm going to be sharing with you guys a homemade dinner rolls recipe that I came across a few years ago. And bitch, when I tell you these rolls will make you slap your mama, your grandmother, and anybody else that's in the house when you try them, okay? So let's jump right on into it. So in our stand mixer, I've just added in 1/4 of a cup of warm water, not hot, warm. And I've added in 1 packet of active dry yeast. Make sure it's active dry, not the rapid rise. That's really, really important, okay? We're gonna give that a good little mix around so that we can go ahead and get that yeast, starting to do its thing. Allow it to sit for maybe about 5 minutes or so, or until you start to see some bubbles forming or some foam on the top. That's how you'll know that your yeast is ready to go, okay? So once we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and start prepping our milk mixture. So what I have here is 1 cup of warm milk. I've added in a 1/2 stick of butter. I've also added in 1/3 of a cup and 2 teaspoons of salt. Now, if you want less salt, you can use 1 teaspoon and then you can just butter your rolls later on with a salted butter. But if you prefer your rolls a little bit more on the saltier side, add in 2 teaspoons. I've also just added in 1 large room temperature egg that I had already previously whisked before adding it in. So that's all of our wet stuff. And now let's jump right on into the dry. This is a really easy recipe to follow, by the way. So we're gonna add in 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, you guys, I'm very particular about the type of flour I use when I am baking, especially when I'm making bread. You guys know that I love Bob's Red Mill. This is not sponsored. It's just who I choose to use. I just think you don't want to use a basic all-purpose flour or some off-brand stuff just because you're not going to end up with really light and fluffy rolls, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut up, I'm going to turn up the music, and I'm going to allow you guys to watch this knead in real time, because oftentimes people never really have any idea on how long they should knead it. So I'm going to let you guys watch this so you can see how it will change in texture, and then I'll come back and talk to you guys in a few moments. And just as a quick reminder, if you do not have a stand mixer, you do not have to, say, oh, I can't make this recipe. You could absolutely do this recipe by hand. Of course, you would just have to spend a little bit more extra time kneading everything by hand. So just keep that in mind. This is just making it a little bit easier so that I don't have to knead by hand later on down the line, okay? So as you can see, now our dough is doing exactly what I wanted to do. I let you guys see how long I did that in real time. So now I have a bowl here that I grease with some avocado oil, or you can use olive oil. Do not use vegetable oil. We're going to transfer our dough into this bowl. Make sure we toss it around so that our dough does not dry out. We're going to wrap it in some cling film, aluminum foil, whatever you have. Cover it with a towel and place it somewhere where it's nice and warm. Now, I'm going to let mine rest for about 1.5 to 2 hours. The timing for this is going to drastically depend on how warm your house is. I would say it's best to store it in the oven and or microwave, but once again, it really will depend on how warm your house is. For me, because I was doing so much cooking this day, it did not take that long for my dough to rise. It took maybe about 1.5 hours. But as you can see, our yeast did exactly what we needed to do. Our dough doubled in size. So now what we're going to do is we're going to deflate some of the air out of this dough. But before I do that, I want to lightly coat my hands with just a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick, and just pat some of that air out. Now, it's really important once we go to transfer this onto our surface, be it a cutting board, countertop, whatever the case is, Please do not go overboard with using too much flour. All you need is just a very light dusting, okay? The only real reason why I would say you would need, an excessive amount of flour is if you're doing this all by hand and you're kneading it. Once again, my dough is very warm to the touch because I'm doing a lot of cooking. So, my dough is very pliable. I'm going to do this exactly 29 times. Sometimes I do it 30, but I knead it exactly 29 to 30 times. After that, that's it. Now, keep in mind, I already did a decent amount of the kneading in the beginning process by using my stand mixer, okay? So if you're going to use a stand mixer, then when you get to this stage after the dough has doubled, you only need to do it 29 times. If you're not using a stand mixer and you're doing all of this by hand, what I would suggest is set a timer for 5 minutes and do it for a total of 5 minutes, okay? So just wanted to put that out there so that you guys have a good idea. But as you can see, this dough is not sticking to the counter. It's not really making a mess in my hands. I've not had to add any extra flour down whatsoever, and it's doing really well. This dough works really well. You just got to be patient with it and just don't get too excessive with the flour. If you start adding too much extra flour, it's going to completely change the texture of the dough, and then it's also going to dry out your biscuits. And ain't nobody got time for no dry dinner rolls, okay? So I'm kind of spreading it out a bit so that I can slice it up. Now, if you want to be extra and get out a food scale and weigh it so that every single dinner roll weighs the exact same, you can do so. But ain't nobody got time for that. I don't do all of that. I just cut mine into little pieces. And then what I do is I kind of just make sure that they're kind of uniform. And if one piece looks like it's too big, I'll rip a piece off of another one and then I'll add it. And then, I'll just continue going, so forth and so forth. I already have my baking dish, as you can see right here, already buttered with unsalted butter. Once again, if you went ahead and added in the 2 teaspoons of salt in the recipe, make sure you're using unsalted butter, okay? If you're going to be using salted butter, make sure that you only use 1 teaspoon. You don't want your dinner rolls to be too salty. A good dinner roll should be able to go along with everything else that you have on your plate. So you don't want it to be overly salty. So as you can see, I'm starting off with a fairly small amount here, and I'm literally just folding it into itself, pinching it at the bottom so that I can close it in and make sure that it's nice and round all the way around. And I'm literally going to do this with all of them. And like I said, if one of the pieces that I pick up look way too big, I literally just rip a little piece off and then I'll just have it to the side for when I need another one or, when I want to double them up. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this process, get them all in the pan ready to go. And then I'll come back and chat with you guys in a few moments. So as you guys saw on this particular one, I cut a little bit off and I just left that to the side and I'll be able to use that later on. So now that we have all of our dinner rolls in our buttered pan, what we're going to do is we're going to cover it in cling film, put that towel back on it, pop it back in the microwave. Do not turn your microwave on, people. That's just so that, it can be somewhere in a dry space. As you can see, these rolls have doubled in size beautifully, by the way. We're going to put these in the oven at 350 degrees, maybe 360. It kind of really just depends. If you have an oven that's at true temperature, you can do 360. But if you want to be on the safer side, honey, I just say do 350. But before we pop them in, we're going to top them off with some butter, of course, because who don't love a buttered dinner roll? You know what I mean? So we're going to pop these bad boys in the oven, like I said, uncovered at 350 degrees. I'm going to set my timer for exactly 15 minutes. And at the 15-minute mark, I'm going to keep an eye on them. They should be nice and golden brown. You don't want them to get too dark on you, okay? And then after that, it's time to grub, okay? Now, I want y'all to take a deep breath and get ready for this next shot. Because my God, look at them damn dinner rolls. I mean, honestly, y'all, I know y'all want them and you should want them. because they are everything. I'm topping them off with some fresh butter. If you guys want, you can sprinkle on some flaky salt on the top just to have that extra boost of salt, and enjoy yourself some homemade dinner rolls. If you're new to my channel, welcome to Simply Food by TY. If you're one of my returning subscribers, well, y'all babies know I love y'all so much. And as always, y'all babies stay cute and take care and enjoy this recipe. Okay, bye.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply Food.